Radio Rahim.
You do it almost as good as me. Let's try this again. Radio Rahim here with the champion, the heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua, 3 times belts, and you've got one maybe on the way. We talked about at the press conference who's the biggest star in boxing, right? Now, I know you're a modest guy, but you're also a guy who speaks facts. And right now, you've even been quoted as saying, you feel like you're driving the sport. Do you feel like at this moment, finally, you're really the face of boxing and carrying the sport?
Heavyweight division is an important division in the history of boxing. Do you know what I mean? So it's important to have marketable heavyweights, talented heavyweights, and we do have these right now. Klitschko was dominating for years, but now we have America, New Zealand, UK, so the landscape's opened a bit and it's brought attention to the heavyweight division. So we all play a part, but then looking at the other weights, without Mayweather, for instance, boxing wouldn't have been thriving. So everyone plays a part, but I think boxing is always important when you have the heavyweights and they're like the heavyweight kings of the division. I think that's so important.
That's absolutely true. And you mentioned Mayweather. There's always a one guy, though, who's kind of carrying the sport on his face. That was him then. You mentioned that Canelo was your favorite fighter, and for much the same reason. Yeah. I've got to ask you how you feel now with this drug test issue having come out, him having faced suspension. How do you feel now about this kind of news?
So I think the right thing to do was to suspend him. But then again, what I've realised in life is that unless I was there, I can't comment on the situation because I don't know the ins and outs. There's always 2 sides, you know what I mean? So I don't know the ins and outs, so I can't comment on it. But as I said, is that the right thing to do for now is suspend him because they have to investigate the allegation. So I can't come up with facts and say, Canelo, I hate you now, you're a cheat because you done this. No, I don't know the ins and outs, I wasn't there. So I hope he can overcome this situation, and it was a minor mistake and it wasn't that he was cheating because we don't respect cheaters. And I'm not saying he is, but I hope he can overcome this situation while they're investigating to find the details, and he can continue doing what he's doing, and that's fighting and bringing attention to the sport that I love.
What's interesting is if he were taking this drug, even by accident or on purpose, what it does is it leans you out between fights and keeps the muscles strong and the fat lean. And you talked about at the press conference deciding to stay fit and going to camp ready, and instead of going into camp to get ready. That's one of the hardest things for a fighter to do. Why did you make this decision, and how has it changed during the build-up and preparation for this fight?
So I made the silly mistake. After I fought Molina and I was going to fight Klitschko, I had like a 2-month gap, 2 and a bit months, and I thought, I'm doing 3-month camps now, I'm sparring 15 rounds, bag work and all that stuff. So I thought, that's enough time to get fit, 12 weeks. So I thought, sat back, I was eating chips, having chocolates, a couple of Coronas, was in Dubai, chilling back. And then I come back to camp like 121 kilogram, and my coach was like, what you been doing? Don't worry about it, like, I'm good. So the issue is that when you're big and then you start hitting the heavy bag, lifting a bit of iron, you fill out into that size. So I didn't lose the weight, I just kind of conditioned myself into that weight. And it took a long time to lose the weight. So my focus then became in training camp is, Anthony, we have to focus on getting your weight back down because you're slower and so on and so forth. So I thought, okay, cool, I learned from that mistake. And then moving forward, I just approached training as a lifestyle. It's not just about training for a fight. And I learned it early on in my career because I'm not fighting 8 times a year like I was before, where I have to be in the gym. I'm fighting twice a year. So I have a long period when I'm out of the gym. So it's up to me to keep myself active and keep ticking over, and that's what's really important.
There are very few guys who could command this kind of attention, right? Canelo is one of them, and now you are certainly the premier name selling out within minutes of huge arenas. When you have that kind of name recognition, guys will come out of the woodworks to make you offers. And one guy that's come out of the woodwork who's got a lot of money to put on the table is Dana White. When you first heard this number, 500 million as a possibility, how did that rest on your ears, and what's your response?
500 million. You gotta stop talking about that number, but it's emotional, bro. I never thought I'd see that kind of money. Hey, bro, Everyone in here get a drink. It's on me. That contract gets signed.
Is there a deal to be made? I mean,
I don't know. I hope there is. Shit, I'll be giving elbows, knees. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it takes, submissions. You know what I'm saying? Bro, that's a lot of paper. You'll fight for that.
In a heartbeat, I'd fight you for that right now.
You crazy? No, you crazy.
No. Okay, so that's not the only deal on the table. There's not the only that guy's bringing 500 million. No one else is doing that, but
500 million.
A guy with a more realistic offer.
That's the American dream, right? Anthony, from the UK, we want you to come to America. You would think America's throwing up the big checks. That's what we're talking about. So even a quarter of that. And a quarter of that. Just give me some money. There's a lot of money in it. You know what I mean?
He may not give you all of that to fight for him with Eddie Hearn, but I know you're not leaving Eddie. So is there a possibility that the two could work together? You could get maybe some of that paper?
That's what I'm trying to say is that it's not something that's like, oh, there's an offer on the table and we're going to turn it away, because we have to look at the landscape and look at the benefit for me initially, because that's what Eddie's job is to do, is to look after his fighter, isn't it? That's why I work with Eddie, because he is the best man to look after me at what I ask him to do and what he provides. So in terms of, let's say another offer comes on the table, if it is the best thing for me, we have to look at the best way to make it work. And he understands that, which is a blessing. So that's a new school. It's not about ownership, it's about partnership. That's how business is done.
And before I let you go, the only other offer that I've heard about, it seems to be palatable to Eddie Hearn, is the one that Wilder put on the table. And he says, listen, give me whatever you want. Make the split whatever it is, whatever the conditions are, fine, I'll take them. As long as, if I beat you, of course he says when, I beat you, you take the same in return.
That's no problem. No, that's no problem. So it's simple. We'll go again and make the offer that we're interested in.
Yeah.
And it's not 50-50.
No, but you say don't take whatever it is.
Okay, fine.
As long as you take it in the rematch.
Yeah, so let's get this straight. My focus is on Parker.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned Wilder.
Of course.
That's fine. So we'll go back again, the third time, and look at the landscape, and then hopefully we can agree, providing I win, that we get this Wilder fight on the way.
Radio Rahim and AJ, Anthony Joshua, making deals, making 500 million and the Wilder fight all in one interview. We've done it. Radio Rahim with the heavyweight champion of the world, IBF, WBA, IBO heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua.
TMT.
Thank you, man. Compose.